My name is Jason Buffington. I'm the Senior Analyst at ESG covering data protection. You know, it wasn't that long ago that people treated the words backup and data protection as synonymous. I prefer to think of data protection as the umbrella term, wrapping over several different capabilities, including backup. Backup is where everyone starts. It's where some people actually get stuck. Backup plus snapshots. That was a fun debate. But now that the debate is over, we can appreciate the power of each, especially when combined within a single strategy. Archives plus backups. On this one, there's still a lot of confusion, but they are different. Complementary, but different. Backups plus replication. This gives us data survivability, but not quite BCDR without the people and process. Backups plus snapshots plus replication is really the core of where real data protection initiatives should be in 2014 and beyond. Add archive to that, and that's frankly where we really should be. This is where data protection starts evolving to include data management. That's a lot of stuff right there, archiving, backups, snapshots, and replication. But then some folks try to get fancy with words like disaster recovery and business continuity. You can't just add backups plus replication and get DR, because BCDR has as much to do or more about people and process than it does about technology. Now, to be fair, without your data surviving, you won't have DR or BC. But the data isn't everything you need. Arguably, with the right people and process, along with replication, which gives you distance, and availability technologies, which gives you resiliency, now we can start talking about business continuity. And now you can see the whole spectrum of colors. By the way, you really do have to add high availability. After all, most data protection functions are about ensuring accessibility or availability of the data. So why wouldn't you include availability technologies within your data protection strategy? And of course, then we also get to include disaster recovery and business continuity, because this is where we want to be, where the business processes are agile, not just survivable from a user error or component failure or even a regional crisis, but truly just always on. So when should you use each? Let's make this actionable. Start with understanding the key systems and services in your business. What happens when each one is down? Process, impact, etc. What are the recovery goals of that group? And that's really the key, by the way. Understand your stakeholders' recovery goals, their required RPO, RTO, and agility, and then choose the color that fits. Backups, snaps, whatever. It's interesting that across the entire infrastructure, there are several different places where data could reside. Primary data, secondary data, the live service process. Each location is best suited to deliver one of those colors, one of those kinds of data protection. Servers is where the application lives, so it's one of the best places to implement availability at a service level. Of course, data lives on primary storage, so this is where storage availability and snapshotting can happen. Backup and archiving solutions, almost by definition, run from a secondary server or service. And that data resides in a protection storage solution, perhaps the storage of last resort, which is hopefully deduplicated. And then, while the secondary storage provides for agility, the tertiary storage provides preservation. And one way or another, resiliency through BCDR is achieved through combining these data protection colors along with distance and redundancy for BCDR, all of which is designed, operated, and monitored through expertise or services. So who should be driving the data protection solution architecture? Well, to answer that, we really should kind of break this up into two halves. Data protection as the mechanics of retaining copies of data, starting with snapshots and moving backward to all the copies that you might need. By the way, all of the copies you might need gives agility, but consumes space. It's why folks are finally waking up to the idea of copy data management to reduce the number of copies and all the CapEx, OpEx associated with that, while still delivering on the agility to recover in all the ways that we've discussed. Data availability, on the other hand, includes all the forms of clustering and mirroring and resiliency that are native to the application, the server, the hypervisor, and the storage, all to ensure that the primary instance doesn't even blink. So the who is the who driving this? It's all of you. All the IT folks have primary control over each one of these components or functions because it should be one strategy. And actually, it doesn't start with any of the IT components or the data protection products you already own. It starts with the business units and how they need to recover, or how they think they need to recover. Once you know how they need or want to recover, then each component owner, sometimes those are individuals, sometimes those are shared common roles, can identify what the cost of implementing that solution component will be and compare that to the cost of downtime or business impact they think they want. When the right ROI is justified, meaning that the solution doesn't cost more than the problem, it can be implemented into the framework of that single data protection solution architecture. And then you do that whole process for the next workload. And you repeat until you run out of workloads. And then you repeat the whole loop again next year, because the business criticality of the workloads could go up or down, and that'll drive different data protection mechanisms. Once you've assessed the business processes and their workloads, and then you've deployed the appropriate data protection tools, you likely will find that you have all the colors of the data protection spectrum. Backups plus snaps plus replication plus archive plus availability plus BCDR. You will also likely have disk supplemented by tape or cloud. This does not mean you have to settle for an accidental architecture with 7 or more point products and all the different vendor agreements that go with it. Instead, look for backup software that can also manage snapshots and/or facilitate replication, maybe even including archive features. That way, not only is your strategy unified, so is your management interface, or if not one UI, at least fewer. You should also be using protection storage, meaning a disk solution that can support backups plus archives, and again, hopefully one that does its own replication too. You might even find there are vendors out there that can offer more than just a few of those colors in just a few products, hopefully bundled in such a way that shows that they're looking at the wide range of colors in the data protection spectrum, just like you are now. I hope this has been helpful, or at least given you some ideas, maybe brought forth some new questions. Let me know what you think. Ping me on Twitter as jbuff, or comment on this blog post. I'm Jason Buffington for ESG. Thanks for watching.